same age here. So you must have been, were you aware of Vimeo and YouTube in those early days? Were you a content creator yourself back in college and coming out of college?
Yeah, I wasn't a content creator myself. What I was a marketer, which is interesting because actually that's a customer that we look to serve today. But you're absolutely right, Scott. I mean, the origins of Vimeo, it was the founders were really looking for their own way and solution to share great content that they were producing with their friends and family, and they wanted to do
great content or Ashley Simpson lip syncing, SNL, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that was the inspiration.
The definition was a very broad definition, but it really did start as this really organic community, and actually, the platform grew entirely organically, really just based on this community of people. And the reason I came to Vimeo was because I had sort of seen, in my time at Time Warner, I'd seen the media landscape really get disrupted by digital models, going from traditional kind of Hollywood to how large media companies had to then shift their strategy. And then I had gone to Amazon and I'd seen the explosion of e-commerce. And I was just really intrigued by Vimeo because I kind of felt like, wow, video is probably going to go through the same kind of disruption that e-commerce went through 10 years ago. And where there's disruption, there's opportunity for innovation. And as my team and I were really diving into who the users were on the platform, we were noticing, again, a very organic, natural trend where previously it had really just been filmmakers, agencies, and the video professionals, and they were uploading feature-length films, documentaries, and music videos. And then we started to see was just this very slight but steady uptick in small businesses and marketers, and they were uploading short form video for their website or social media. And it was really through kind of understanding what some of those users were asking for that I think it became clear that there was actually an evolution happening in the industry, and through that, an opportunity for Vimeo.
What was that moment like when you were offered that role? Was it something that you had time to prepare for? Was it sprung on you? Did you have to take a few days or a few weeks to think about it, or was it an instantaneous, I do?
When I was offered the role, I just had never occurred to me that would actually happen. So I wasn't expecting it, and I was really surprised. And I think my first response was, "Is this a joke?" Like genuinely.
Was this in a boardroom or at a dinner? What was set it up?
It was in my office with Joey Levin, the CEO of IAC, our parent company. He'd come to my office that morning and he offered me the job in a very sort of concise, direct fashion. And I was kind of like, is this a joke? But also I understood the context, which was that we were no longer going to do original content, and therefore we were leaning into the strategy. And the way it was positioned to me, which was awesome, was, well, you've been leading it already, so we'll give you a chance to do it, at the CEO level. It was my dream job for so many reasons, but more than the title and the kind of career path, it was that I really loved Vimeo.
All right, Anjali, as a fellow Midwestern child of South Asian immigrants, I can guess that your parents and your family are very invested in your success and your career and the notion of you being the boss, especially now the boss of a publicly traded company. And I was reading that you got advice from your dad when you were offered the CEO position, and he told you to step out of your comfort zone and to launch into jobs that you feel like you might not even be qualified for, which I think is great advice and advice that I live by as well. So how did this direction from your father impact your career decisions that you have made over time, and how do you live by that today?
I mean, my parents are super proud. They bleed Vimeo blue. And, I think my upbringing absolutely influenced my entire career and the way I think about my ability to be a leader. I grew up in Michigan, in Flint, Michigan. My parents are Indian immigrants. And, from the time I can remember, it was, my dad would always tell me and my two siblings to pursue the world. That was kind of the internal Sud family mantra. And the idea was, that my parents left all their family and friends to come to America to pursue the American dream. And we were so privileged to have a much better education and much better resources than they had growing up. And so, it was kind of like, what are you going to do with that privilege? how are you going to have an impact? And how are you going to, make the world and your community a better place? And from the time I was quite young, my father, among many things, is also an entrepreneur and loved business and loved building businesses and creating jobs in our hometown. And so I kind of got the bug pretty early on as a child, the bug that one way to have a positive impact on the world is to create thriving businesses that will drive the economy and drive jobs. And so, I sort of at a very young age wanted to be a leader. There have been many times in my career where I've taken on industries or projects or functions that I actually didn't have a lot of experience in. And that sort of advice from my dad to get out of your comfort zone and to just put yourself in situations where your learning curve will be very steep, because that will actually make you a better leader, definitely is something that I followed. And I do believe very firmly, the best leaders are not always the experts. They don't always have all the answers, nor should they. What they have is a vision. They have the ability to bring a team together and sort of allocate capital and resources in the right way to empower people to achieve it. And they have really good gut instincts and ability to take signals and information and data and make better decisions.
Any parting words? Maybe a bit of advice to someone who might be finding themselves in a position where they want to jump to a new level in the company. I mean, not that you necessarily were gunning for that CEO role, but I just love the fact that you spoke up. You had the guts to kind of speak up and say, I have an idea here, to your boss, a white man, by the way, right? And again, in your position, a woman of color in this position, we talked to Stacey Vanek Smith not too long ago on an episode who wrote a book called Machiavelli for Women, and about it's terrific, using Machiavelli's lessons to help women in the workplace today. But it sounds like you didn't need that book. You figured it out on your own. But maybe just a parting advice to someone who might be in the position you were in a few years ago, to give them the strength to kind of make that pitch.
The best advice I would give is, I've always been unapologetically ambitious, but I think the reason that I've been able to get to where I've gotten is because I always try to align my personal ambitions with what would help the business. And I think the more that when you think about your own career growth and development, you can tie that to helping the business be successful and driving impact for the company and your team. I guarantee, sitting in the CEO seat right now, when someone comes to me with an idea that helps me and the company be more successful, I will lean on them. I will bet on them. And so that's honestly the best advice I can give, is find a way to marry your ambitions and passions in your career with the company or the business or the problem you're trying to solve. And if you can't, find another place to do that. And I think that's the best way I have seen in my own experience to really accelerate your career path.
If you like what you saw and you like what you heard, you can listen to the entire episode of this podcast, Business Casual, anywhere you get your podcasts. And please go ahead and subscribe to the Morning Brew YouTube channel, and go ahead and click on that alarm bell, that thing right there, so you can be alerted anytime there's a new video.